welcome to the Agile Agent DICE and Agility panel. So this is a way of discussing Agile concepts in a fun way. It's totally random. You never know what's coming out before you actually do it. So the background is that at Knowit in Finland, before Corona, we had this podcast called Agile Agent, which was totally audio. But then Corona started, and we realized it's going to be really cool to actually hook video on it too. And then one of the sessions, my colleague Teo and myself, who you can see both of us in the picture, we started running this Agile Agent podcast with DICEs and to get good ideas about what to talk about. And so random ideas. And it was so much fun, and people liked it so much. We recorded several episodes of this same style. So now we are going to try it live. Let's see how cool recording there will be. So how it works, very simple. So it's we are going to use role-playing dices, as you can see there. So role-playing, for those who are not familiar with role-playing, it's a habit of sitting around a table, and a game master is explaining events that happen in the game. So it could be anything, any storyline. Fantasy stories are very popular. There are knights and elves and hobbits and whatever walking around and finding interesting things. And whenever interesting things, and whenever something happens, what happens, how well things are happening. So if you meet a knight and you want to battle the knight or dragon, let's say, you take dices, and then the dices decide how well you do at this moment. So I can throw dices, and then I get something. So there are D10 and D20 dices. I'm going to use D20 dices. So actually, let me switch to the camera. So D20. So as you can see, now I have 15 and 9 there. So it's 20-sided dice. So that means that when we are throwing the set of dices, one of the first dice will be one of these general words, which are semi-randomly chosen, and then the other dice will mean a number from this Agile list, which is again topics are sort of randomly chosen. So it's semi-random, but when we have the dice deciding what we are going to talk about, for example, if we get 3 and 3, it will be road and daily stand-up. And then we try to think some innovative things about that Agile concept inspired by the word road. Right. So thank you for your courage to be here with me. So let's. It needs to. If one person only babbles, it's not as much fun. So let's see. So let's give it a try. So first one goes. So I have here for the camera. I've got a 16, and then I got 18. So the 16 and 18. So 16 is trip, and 18 is cross-functional team. Okay, so what does that mean? Road and cross-functional team. So let me start, and you can then say what you think about it. So a road is a little bit like cross-functional team, because when you step on a road, you never know where that road takes you. You will have lots of different things on a road. In the same way, you have lots of different things and lots of different skills and people in a cross-functional team. You need the road to go somewhere, right? Somewhere, maybe in your destination. And in the same way, your cross-functional team will help your Agile team to create the software. That's your goal, right? So that's my improvisation. So let's see. So Oliver. Thank you. So
Great.
A comment about road and cross-functional team.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was trying to think of the more literal sense of road and was thinking about how to make something of that, but you were thinking more of the journey way of road, maybe.
But you can have a literal thinking meaning as well.
Yeah. Problem is that road with cross-functional teams. I thought I don't know, like you took over my idea so much because I really liked the idea of a journey.
Okay.
Because I mean a huge part of having cross-functional teams is the part of that you're going to be you have your crew that you have some goals you want to accomplish and you have to figure out together how you're going to accomplish that. Okay, what resources do we need? Like are we going to need a special sword to accomplish our goals? Like how do we achieve that? Who knows about enchanting swords? I don't know. So that I think that's a that's a pretty good metaphor that took over my my imagination pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Let's have a second one. So you can start first, and I'll be the second one.
Okay.
For next one. So next one is 8 and 18 again. Let's go that again. So 18 and 15. 8 and 15. So 8 is electric car. 15 is user story. Okay.
All right.
Electric car user story. What do you think?
Like, am I supposed to think of fantasy aspects or not?
Anything.
Because
Anything your mind from these 2 words.
yeah, I mean, like electric car feels like something that you would usually associate with engineering, anyways. And applying agile within engineering fields is something that's very interesting in general. So I mean, what comes to mind is the trying to split up an electric car like into its components. How are we going to build it up? Um, who's going to build the tires? Do we need to do anything special for them? I guess that's what comes up to mind.
Good. So actually, I think I'll build on your story a little bit. That reminds me of what you just said. Reminds me of a book called Scrum for Hardware. So actually, and it's talking about this academic project that is actually creating a sports car bit by bit in an incremental way using Scrum, and then actually there's lots of background which is just not that official, not in the book, but that is in the presentations from the same topic, which is that Tesla has actually used this approach in creating the electric cars. They are actually using incremental design even for hardware. They're creating new prototype for some piece they are manufacturing every day until they have the final part and final look. So that's actually pretty cool. And the connection to user story, of course. So each user story would be one use for this piece of hardware that will be used in a car. So I think it's yeah, like that. Okay. Oh, let's see a different angle. Maybe we find something cool again. So I have 15 for the general word. And where's the other one? 16. 15 and 16. 15 is for general one. 15 is sword. And 16 was epic. So sword and epic. Wow, that's a good one. So to me that that makes me think, epic is a big user story, right? So it's split into smaller user stories at some point. A sword it can cut things into parts, enemy, animals, people, very gory, yuck. But can we, epic is actually split into user stories, so maybe can we split a sword? Well, if we split it in small pieces, we can melt it into some utensils like forks and knives and make something peaceful out of a war instrument. Yeah, maybe that's my idea. Okay. Yeah, sure. So
Intro agile fashion.
There you go.
Well, yeah. What comes to mind myself is, well, that's an interesting thing as well. I guess you could, maybe you need more weapons. You have one big sword, but you need like three dwarven swords. Then maybe you can split it up, melt it down. Um, but also, I guess I started to think about like an epic. You start with an epic, but then you have to cut it down into tiny, smaller and smaller pieces. And I guess the sword could be a metaphor for that as well.
Excellent. Excellent. This is with two minds brainstorming on each other. So now I realized epic is also the big picture of what you have, what you want to create in an agile team, right? For a period, and also sword can represent that big picture. It can be a symbol for some clan or some knight. This is my symbol of power. So it's a big picture. Yeah, family. Yeah, exactly. A crest. Yeah, cool. Hey, we get some interesting ideas here. Let's take one more. How much time we have? A few more minutes. No, 15 more minutes. Okay. So let's see. We have 18 and 15. I think we had 18. Did we have 18? 18 is toothbrush. No. 15 we had, so we need to do that again. The other one is now 5. So 5, oops, is backlog refinement. Okay, toothbrush and backlog refinement. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you first. Let's see what you can think of.
Toothbrush and backlog refinement. Well, I mean, toothbrushes are used to refine teeth, maybe. So maybe you could think of, if you think of it metaphorically, you have to take care of your backlog. You have to make sure that, I don't know, if you find any lice there, you have to take care of them. Make sure, maybe you don't have to check every time, but make sure to make some time every now and then to check off, brush off. Maybe try to get into the deepest parts with a toothbrush that you wouldn't get to always. It's, well, in a way, if you think of it as well, with toothbrush, you have different types of toothpaste. I've actually been thinking of that for about a bit. Like there are so many types of toothpaste. Are you supposed to vary it? Like one day you take like toothpaste for getting to, oh, what's that called in Swedish? It's tandsten. No, it's like in your teeth. The thing that the dentist usually removes. It's like plaque. Yeah. So like there's a toothpaste that's good for that, and there's toothpaste that's good for strengthening your teeth or for sensitive teeth. So maybe you have to try different types of toothpaste for different types of backlog refinement.
Okay, so let me build on that. So the product owner who is then taking care of backlog refinement, looking at the backlog, the product owner can at certain time look at the language. If the language is good, just make things clearer. Maybe, and so that's one toothpaste and toothbrush. So maybe later the product owner invites a developer and a tester to talk with him and her to get a better understanding, to make sure there's clarity in the user stories within the backlog. So that would be a different toothpaste and toothbrush. Hey, it's a good one. Good one. You get good imagination. Thank you. Super. We have 13 minutes left. So we can continue, but also if there's any other volunteer that now feels comfortable coming in, we can switch volunteers. Any hands? Or do we continue with Oliver? We continue with Oliver. Okay. So let's see. Again, we switch to the camera. Sorry, the purple one was the general one. 16 and 10. 6 general list. 16 is trip. No, we had the trip. Need to have it again. No, it's my example. Yeah, true. So trip, that's fine. Trip and what's the other one? 10. Retrospective. So trip and retrospective. Okay, so let me start. So retrospective is obviously the last event in Scrum. So you need to have people coming together and thinking about what went well, what could be better. So that's in a way a trip. At least it's part of a trip of an agile team who is trying to figure out how to create good software, and so you need to think back every now and then. So on a trip, you need to also think back, especially if you are on a road trip, you need to think about the next destination. So did we have fun yesterday? Yesterday we visited, I don't know, Disney World. Tomorrow are we going to visit, I don't know, Cape Kennedy, or Kennedy Space Center? Is that fine? And maybe we realize that, no, yesterday we had so much fun in amusement park. Maybe today we also need to have some fun in amusement park. Let's find another place. Let's go to, I don't know, some other whatever amusement park. So on a trip you also need to have retrospectives, especially if it's a random trip, if it's a road trip. So that's my initial imagination there.
Yeah, it makes me think a bit. Like, I guess normally agile is not something that most, well, I mean, historically, if you think about it, agile is a somewhat new concept. Like, many companies are recently realizing this is the new cool thing. Like, this is how we should be doing things. So I think it's interesting to think of that, like, usually in in our, when we're doing our normal lives, we don't, maybe most people wouldn't think of agile, but maybe, I guess that's something you should think of as well. Maybe try, if you have a family and you're on a vacation, try to have retrospectives. What do you think about this? Did you dislike anything? Try to have a board. Everyone gets to say something they liked, something they disliked. They get to suggest, like, uh, someone gets to plan the next retrospective with new ideas. Maybe that's something to apply to real life as well. And I think that's a pretty interesting thought. Maybe see how that, maybe that could give ideas to how to apply it at work as well.
Yeah, actually yes. And again, what you just said made me think that some teams are new in agile, so they are still building how they work in agile, and retrospective is the key part in on a trip of becoming more agile, because that helps you understand what you can do better. Okay, let's have a few more. So let's see. The general dice is, where is it? 7, and then the agile dice is 13. 7 and 13. 7 from generalist, truck. Agile list 15. 15 was there already. User story. Another one. 4. 4 is technical debt. Okay. Truck and technical debt. A truckload of technical debt immediately comes to my mind. There's always too much of technical debt. I'll give you a choice to continue.
A truckload of technical debt. Yeah, in a way, I guess, like, a truck is it's a surprisingly good metaphor for the technical debt. I mean, if you have a truck, you can just keep on, either you take care of your technical debt, or you just mount another wagon on top, like, and you keep loading up. Like, it'll take more fuel. It'll be more cumbersome to drive around. But I think a truck is it's a pretty good metaphor. Or either you start cleaning up, you start getting rid of the of the well, yeah, what's it called, the wagons. I said wagon, but that's, I think that's where 1800s.
Yeah, depends on country. For truck can be a lorry. Lorry in UK is a truck in US, right? So
Okay, all right.
maybe anything from that? Is it big truck or just a medium truck?
Hmm.
18-wheeler truck or just one of the pickup trucks?
I guess in a way it's interesting as well. Like the bigger or the smaller the truck is, like the more maybe could you say that you have more space for having technical depth? Maybe like the bigger like a company is, like the easier it is to carry around more load. Maybe the focus is on let's just get this out, like, and just leave that be, and then maybe just move on. Maybe tinier trucks have to take care of their product more, have to, because they don't have as much space to have technical depth. Maybe they have to take care of it often. You can afford to refactor often, and there's benefits to both having a big truck and to having a tiny tiny truck.
All right, that is a good one. So technical debt, yeah, important to understand what it can be, how much it can be, and yeah, there can be lots of it. Obviously, the goal is not to have lots of technical debt, right? So similarly, maybe the goal is to have an electric car and not the truck. Maybe that's another environmentally friendly notice. Okay, let's have a final one and see what that is. So let's have video again on the dice. 10 and 13. 10 is sun, nice. And 13 is continuous improvement. Sun and continuous improvement. Now, so continuous improvement is what happens all the time in Agile. That's the idea. Don't wait for a month or a year. Have continuous improvement at least once in every 2 weeks in sprint. You have retrospective. You would then at least think of continuous improvement. But even more in lean, in Kanban, everybody thinks about continuous improvement daily. You encounter a problem, you immediately think of something that can fix that problem and even the root cause. So continuous improvement is the sun for software development project. It's the sun that makes everything visible, and then you can fix things, and it can be good for you. Sun can be good for you. You know, there's lots of vitamin D coming in, and it helps you grow. Maybe it helps plants grow. Sun helps plants grow. Continuous improvement helps Agile team to grow. Okay, that's my take. Your turn.
See, I'm not sure that entirely builds upon it, and I haven't been thinking that much about continuous improvement. But what first came to my mind is having a resource. I think very much of the sun as a resource, like it's an energy resource. Like we wouldn't be here at all if it weren't for the sun. We're very dependent on the sun, and I guess if you go back in time, we a lot of cultures were what was it called, sun worshippers and stuff like that. So they consider the sun a deity. But it's interesting to think that um, in a way we've always been using the sun. The sun fuels like our trees, and we cut the trees, we burn stuff with the trees, but we keep thinking of new ways of using the sun. It's very 2021 and to think of renewables and thinking of making the most out of our resources. So I think continuous improvement in coming up with new ways of using resources that have always been there, keeping improving on it, thinking about it, and so forth. That's what came to my mind.
Wow, that was pretty awesome inspiration there. So good insight. So you mentioned some countries are worshipping sun, and that's true. Yeah. Sunday, and sun dark. Yeah. That's actually true. Japan is like that as well, right? So even a flag has a big sun, and as it happens, continuous improvement as a concept comes from Japan, right? Because it's part of lean. Lean comes from Japan. Continuous improvement in Japan is kaizen, continuous improvement. So actually, there's a link there as well. Continuous improvement comes from Japan, the country of sun. Pretty cool. Okay, I think that we can wrap up. So Oliver, thanks very much for your courage and the great insights.
Thank you.
Really cool. Thanks everybody.